Do I go ahead and have the witness take the oath?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mdam. General, I have been told that you will be doing the affirmation.
That's correct,
Yes.
Commissioner.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are going to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Thank you, General. Yes, Mr. Mutau.
Thank you, Chair and co-commissioners. General, good morning.
Good morning, Council.
General, in front of you, there are two bundles. You have a small bundle which contains your statement, and we will be referring to that as file 1, and it is so marked. And there is a big bundle in which the annexures to your statement are contained. That will be referred to as file 2. Do you follow?
I do follow, Commissioner.
Thank you. And if I can just ask you to please go to file 1 and turn to page 62. Is that your signature that appears on that page?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Do you confirm the contents of the statement as being correct and accurate?
I do confirm, Commissioner.
Thanks. And if I can just ask you to go back to page 2, paragraph 2. You indicate in that paragraph that you deposed to this statement for purposes of this Commission of Inquiry. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Yes. Thanks. Chair and co-commissioners, the statement is being tendered into evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Mutau.
Yes. General, then in paragraph 3 of your statement, you deal with the structure of your statement. And you will see, if you look at the subparagraphs 3.1 to 3.12, there are 12 parts to your statement. Is that correct?
I confirm that, Commissioner.
And if you then go back to paragraph 3, the statement, or rather the paragraph should read, this statement consists of 12 and not 10 parts. Correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you. And then if you go to paragraph 4, commencing from paragraph 4 to paragraph 22, you deal with the nomenclatures.
But just before you respond, General, my co-commissioner is asking you to please speak up. He says he can barely hear you. Please.
No, I will do so, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Increase the volume.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perhaps if I can just repeat that, say from paragraphs 4 to 22 of your statement, you deal with the nomenclatures that are used in the statement. Am I correct?
And that is correct, Commissioner.
And commencing from paragraph 23 to 27, you provide your reasons for participating or testifying in this commission.
And that is correct, Commissioner.
If I may just ask
just before that, even though you've given us the nomenclatures here, I will still request you when you refer to these in the body of your testimony to still describe each one of those, because by the time you get there, I will have forgotten what those were. I don't know about my co-commissioners. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Mdawi.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I was trying to take shortcuts for myself, but it has not worked. General, then to come back to paragraphs 23 to 27 of your statement, where you outline your reasons for participating in the commission and testifying. If I may just ask you to deal with those paragraphs.
Thanks, Commissioner. My participation in the commission, starting from paragraph 23, my role as the National Commissioner of SAPS is both complex and pivotal in ensuring the effectiveness, integrity, and public confidence in the national policing system. When a commission of inquiry such as the Madlanga Commission is convened to investigate matters of national importance, it involves allegations of misconduct, failures in the organizational oversight, or systemic challenges within SAPS. There is no doubt that I must participate actively. Such inquiry provides a unique and crucial opportunity not only to respond to allegations, but also to reflect honestly on the existing challenges and advocate for meaningful reform. By engaging openly and constructively, I demonstrate willingness to subject SAPS to rigorous scrutiny and to embrace recommendations that may emerge from this commission. This approach fosters a culture of accountability, encourages collaboration and oversight with oversight bodies, and signals to all stakeholders that SAPS leadership is both responsive and responsible. The importance of my participation cannot be overstated. My participation upholds the best traditions of accountable and transparent policing, aligns with legal requirements, and advances both the internal development of SAPS and the broader democratic project in South Africa. It assures the public, government, and international observers that the highest level of SAPS leadership is committed to truth, justice, and continuous improvement. Paragraph 26, the benefits of participating in the commission is not to provide my account of interactions with Minister Mkhunu on the issues forming part of this subject matter for determination herein only, but also hope that the Commission's findings and recommendations will lead to improved governance, public trust, and institutional effectiveness, which are not only critical to SAPS, but are foundational to the well-being and safety of South African society as a whole.
General, if I can just stop you there. The essence of the point in paragraph 26 is to convey the point that the benefits of you participating in the commission is not only to provide your account of the interactions with the Minister Mkhunu, but you're saying the benefits go beyond that, because you are hoping that the findings that the commission will make, together with the recommendations, will lead to improved governance within the organization. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
And then you proceed in paragraph 27, you deal with one of the important aspects which you envisage that this commission will do, and you say the commission, you hope, will assist in making a proper diagnosis of the circumstances that have brought us here. And you talk about also the hope that the recommendations that the commission will make, if accepted by the president, will avoid a repeat of what you term as rather the unfortunate events that have led to the establishment of the commission. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Thank you. If I can then ask you to deal with the next topic that you address in your statement, commencing from paragraph 28 to 31. And there you outline your background and your service history within the South African Police Services. If I can just ask you to take the chair and the commissioners through that portion of your statement.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. My background history, I joined South African Police Service in 1987, and I worked in various provinces through the ranks. I worked in Free State, I worked in Gauteng, I worked in KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng again, various provinces, Western Cape, deployed there, and then I worked also in Limpopo. Throughout my career, I acquired broad managerial experience within the service. I attended a number of courses within the South African Police Service, both at junior ranks and at senior ranks. I have 38 years of service in the SAPS, and of which 25 years of that was at senior management level. I held up positions of unit commander. I held positions of deputy provincial commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal. I was divisional commissioner of protection and security service. And then I acted as divisional commissioner of crime intelligence. And then I became a deputy national commissioner for operations. And thereafter I went to Limpopo as the provincial commissioner. And in 2016, I came back as a deputy national commissioner again, up to 2022. And since 2022 March, up to now, I've been appointed as the National Commissioner of South African Police Service.
And you conclude in paragraph 31 that your trajectory reflects a broad spectrum of policing expertise, from grassroots operational leadership to strategic oversight at the national level. Correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
You have attached a full copy of your CV, which we don't need to go to, but for the benefit of the chair and the co-commissioners, it is on pages 63 to 72 of file 2. Thank you. Then, General.
Marked as FM1.
SF1. Thank you, I apologize, Chair. Yes, SFM1. And General, the next topic that you deal with is SAPS and the criminal justice system, commencing from paragraph 32. And in those paragraphs, from 32 and 33, you refer to the 3 pillars that guides the South African criminal justice system. If I can request you to deal with those 3 pillars, which you deem to be foundational.
Thanks, Commissioners. The pillars are the South African criminal justice system is guided by a clear division of 3 pillars. The first one being the police, second one being the prosecution authority, the third being the correctional services. The first pillar of the police serves as the front line of law enforcement, which involves the crime prevention, crime investigation, gathering of evidence, apprehension of suspects, with a view to secure evidence for the courts, and ultimately bring that to the next pillar, which is the second pillar, which is the National Prosecuting Authority, which is responsible for deciding whether there is sufficient evidence exists to prosecute or not to prosecute in that specific matter. And within this pillar, you have got then the judiciary, and which is the magistrates and the judges, which NPA and the subs or the state will put the case forward, and the magistrates and our judges will then conduct a fair and impartial trial to determine the guilt or the innocence of the accused person. The third pillar is the correctional services that takes over once the court has delivered its verdict. This sector is charged with enforcing and administrating sentences imposed by the courts. Their work involves incarceration of offenders and also the management of alternative community-based sentences, rehabilitation programs, and of course, reintegration back to the society. Taken together, these three pillars work in concert to uphold the rule of law, protect communities, ensure justice is served, and foster public trust in the criminal justice system.
So in essence, the three pillars are interdependent.
Correct, they are interdependent to each other. Also, hence, it's important for each one to remain independent from the other, and no encroachment between one against the other.
Thanks. And then, General, the next topic that you deal with is the police in closer detail, and that you outline from paragraph 34 to 42 of your statement. If I can just ask you to take the commission through that section.
The police in a closer look, the establishment of a single police service is provided for in Chapter 11 of the Constitution. Section 199(1) states that the security services of the Republic consist of a single police force, a single defense force, a single police service, and any intelligence service established in terms of the Constitution.
And then you proceed over the page, you refer to sections 205, section 206, and section 207 of the Constitution, which you say they also deal with matters relating to the police service, insofar as they pertain to structural elements, political responsibility, and control over the service in its entirety. Correct?
That is correct. Section...
Yes, 205, which you then deal with from paragraph 36, if you can proceed.
Yeah, section 205 of the Constitution is paramount importance to understand the context of the obligation placed on the national legislation to clarify matters relating to policing. 205(1) provides for the National Police Service must be structured to function in national, provincial, and where appropriate, the local sphere of government, giving effect to the implementation of a model that seeks to create a uniform system of policing. Section 205(2) of the Constitution provides that national legislation must establish the powers, functions of the police service and must enable the police to discharge its responsibilities effectively, taking into account the requirements of the provinces. Section 205(3) provides that the police service is to prevent, combat, and investigate crime, to maintain public order, to protect and secure the inhabitants of the Republic and their property, and to uphold and enforce the law. Section 206(7) provides for a legislative framework to regulate municipal police service, to augment policing by stating that the national legislation must provide a framework for the establishment of powers, functions, and control of municipal police service. Furthermore, Section 207(2) of the Constitution states that the National Commissioner must exercise control and manage the police service in accordance with the national policing policy and the directions of the cabinet member responsible for policing. My understanding of the cabinet member responsible for policing refers to the Minister of Police.
And if I can just stop you there, perhaps.
Before you go
yes.
on, yes, thank you, Mr. Mutao. General, I do know that later you do explain directions, for example, and you put in strategic, trying to tell us what exactly the directions envisaged in Section 2072 are. But can you, at this stage, just very broadly tell us what the distinction is between policy, directions, and operational or managerial matters? I'll tell you why I'm asking you. I'm asking you because further down in your affidavit, you start off by stating your main proposition, which is that the minister's instruction or disbandment instruction strayed onto operational or managerial matters. But then you have two alternatives and you say, if, however, it is found that the instruction was policy, then, but the then being an argument against the minister's entitlement to have issued the instruction. And you have a further alternative. Alternatively, if it was a direction as envisaged in Section 2072, again, you have an argument against the minister's entitlement to have issued it. Because of those possibilities, I want you to just tell us what exactly the differences are. What are the inner and outer contours of each one of these? It doesn't matter if you repeat those when you get to that part of the statement, but up front, I just want us to get an idea of what these are.
Thanks, Commissioner. My understanding is that the minister is responsible to issue a national policing policy. In other words, that is the direction in terms of what are the priorities that we need to do as the police. For example, there could be priorities about, let's say, gangsterism or cash in transit, that is troubling the country. That is a strategic direction that we need to deal with that. But the how part of it, how many resources are going to use, of course, I will inform the minister as to what resources are going to use. But the how part of it, it is, according to me, is an operational matter where I will decide how many resources in terms of personnel, vehicles, and how are we going to do this job. I don't expect the minister to say, get involved into the how part of it in terms of executing the functions. But I expect that he can identify the priority. Yes, he can talk to in terms of what he thinks. There's no problem even if he can say how he thinks, the how part, but not that he get involved in to say, do it in the following manner. So in this case, my issue is, for example, in this case of the political killings task team, it is a task team that is working at a lower level under a provincial commissioner. If ever he found anything wrong with the task team, he could say, that task team, I think you need to disband it, and we can engage in the terms of the why and how and so on. But to go further to say disband, but then after saying disband, then you go further to say now, not even tomorrow. I think that is totally encroachment into the mandate of the National Commissioner in terms of performance of my duty. I don't know whether I answered.
From that response, I think I do get the how, which is an operational issue that falls under the purview of your functions. I do get that. But you seem to be lumping policy and directions together. So I'm still in the dark as to what the difference is between policy and directions. Can you now forget about the operational matters and just give us an idea of what the difference is between policy and directions as envisaged in Section 2072 of the Constitution?
Thanks, Commissioner. The policy will be like, we do have the Police Act. The minister is getting involved in development of that legislation. And there is a policy recently, national policing policy. There wasn't one. There is one that recently was issued that directs us in terms of what we need to prioritize. So it talks more on what is it that we must prioritize. Because the Constitution in Section 2053 tells us what must we do, but there will further be priorities that are out there in terms of various provinces. Then the minister, yes, can issue policy to say, I need us to go in this way, issue legislation or issue extra policing policy like he did.
That's the policy as I understand you. And directions?
Directions, according to me, it is any directives you can issue to say in terms of what matters must we prioritize in terms of, like I gave an earlier example to say you prioritize cash in transit, for example. You can say, yeah, there is problem of cash in transit, or there is problem for, like in his case, he said, we have problem of illegal mining in the country. Let's do something about it. That is a direction. And we go and to deal with the how part.
When dealing with policy, you touched on something that was issued recently. I actually had a question here that asks whether the policy is contained in one document or in several documents. When you say there wasn't any before and that one has been issued recently, so that probably means there's only one document, or am I wrong?
Yeah, if one takes, my understanding policy will be what the minister will express, mostly together with the rest of South Africans, through legislation. And the national policy, yes, there was never one. There is one now issued.
Okay. Oh, thank you. If the minister were to stray from policy or the directions envisaged in Section 2072 of the Constitution, stray onto operational or managerial matters, would a national commissioner be legally entitled to disobey the minister?
Just come again, Commissioner.
Would a national commissioner of police be entitled to disobey an instruction by the minister if that instruction strayed onto operational matters? Would the national commissioner be legally entitled to say to the minister, Minister, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to act in accordance with your instruction?
Yeah, I take it that, yes, the National Commissioner can say that.
Now let me be direct and ask you about yourself. If you were to find yourself in such a situation, would you disobey the minister? If the minister were to give you an instruction that strays onto operational or managerial matters, would you, General Masemola, say to the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, it depends, Commissioner, but yes, I will. It's a matter that is career limiting, but
it depends on what?
It depends on how he does it.
It's simple. It's
Yes.
simple. You have said operational and managerial matters are within your remit and not the minister's.
Yes.
So I am saying categorically to you that in what I posit to you, the instruction would be falling outside of the minister's remit and be straying onto operational and managerial matters. It's that clear.
Yeah, no.
Would you, General Masemola, tell the minister, I am not going to obey that?
Yeah, no, I will tell him that I won't do it. But as I said, it depends.
So
he must explain why he's doing certain things.
So if he explains himself, would you then obey, even if the instruction still strayed beyond the minister's powers and strayed onto your powers and functions?
Yeah,
I want to understand that depends. So if the minister explained him or herself satisfactorily to you, would you then say, Minister, even though you are encroaching onto my area of function, I will obey you. You are acting unlawfully. You are not acting in accordance with Section 207(2) of the Constitution, but because you have explained satisfactorily to me, I'm going to obey you. Would you say that?
Well, if he explains and I find the reasons acceptable, then I will. But if I find them not acceptable, then I will not comply with that instruction.
Explain yourself. Explain yourself. Why would you obey an instruction on something that the minister has no legal, no constitutional basis to do? Why would you obey that? Just explain that. I want to understand you.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. What I'm referring to, well, my understanding and his understanding probably will differ. But if he says, this is what I'm giving this instruction, you must do it. And there is an explanation why should one do the instruction. We will engage on such a matter, whether as to where is his powers, does it end up?
General, I am sorry to belabor this, but I just want to understand your thinking. It is not policy. It is not directions as envisaged in 2072 of the Constitution. So if it is none of those, why would you ever obey the instruction? Where would the legal entitlement for the minister to give the instruction come from?
No,
and on what legal basis would you obey it?
Yes, Commissioner. No, if it's very clear that his clear cut is not his, then I will not obey it. I will not do it.
I said so right at the beginning.
Yes,
I said,
I will not do it.
If the instruction strays onto your area of function, would you obey it?
Oh,
and
no.
you said it depends. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Oh, no. I'll not do it. That one, straightforward, not.
Thank you, Mr. Mutau.
No, thank you, Chair. I could pick up that there was perhaps something that was lost in the discussion or perhaps the questions that the chair posed.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
maybe the general forgot what, because I introduced my question
Yes.
quite carefully,
No.
referring to the straying and so on. But thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. In fact, this issue that the Chair is raising is something that you deal with in your statement. And it will also inform how you reacted to the instruction to disband. But let us proceed, and we will get to that topic. Like the Chair said, it is a matter that you deal with later. Later on in your statement. But if I can just ask you to then go to the concluding paragraph of that section that we're dealing with, in paragraph 42, after you've dealt with subs in closer detail, you conclude by saying, central to effective policing is a clear chain of command and control. The National Commissioner is appointed to serve both as a supervisor and commander and operates within a defined legal framework, including taking directions from the Minister to promote alignment with constitutional principles of transparency, impartiality, and service to the public. And in this paragraph, you articulate that the operations between yourself and the minister are defined within a legal framework. So in other words, the taking of instructions from the minister happens within the contours of the legal framework as defined. And in particular, in this instance, you were discussing section 2072 with the chair. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. So the it depends, as you were dealing with earlier, I understood you to be saying it depends if the instruction is a lawful one or not.
Yeah, if the instruction is lawful, one will comply. If not, then one will not comply with it.
Yes, and I think perhaps what you did not understand from what the chair was asking was the chair predicated the question by asking that assuming an instruction does not fall into either policy or direction, but it strays into your operational area, and that instruction is an unlawful one, would you obey it? Would you implement it? I think that's the essence of what the chair was asking.
All right.
But if I can then ask you to deal with the next topic, which is the Office of the National Commissioner, your office. And commencing from paragraph 43, you deal with your key areas of responsibility or your responsibilities. So if I can just ask you to please take the commission through that section.
Thanks, Commissioner. My responsibilities include the following as a National Commissioner: management and control, the management and control of the police service adhering to national policing policy and directives from the Minister of Police. In terms of the constitutional mandate, ensure the police fulfill their constitutional mandate, which includes preventing, combating, and investigating crime and maintaining public order, protecting the people and their property, and uphold and enforce the law. So my understanding also there is that the minister, in giving directions, those directions must complement or assist in attainment of this section 2053 of the Constitution. Strategic leadership, responsible for maintaining an impartial, accountable, transparent, and effective police service. In terms of personnel management, I'm responsible for recruitment, appointment, promotion, transfer, and discipline of employees of the service, including the appointment of provincial commissioners. On operational support, ensure the provision of vital service such as crime intelligence, criminal records, crime stats, forensic lab. And in terms of internal security, responsible for maintaining the internal security of the nation. On international cooperation, international police liaison, we facilitate cooperation with foreign police and also appointing liaison officers. I do reports in terms of reporting to the Minister of Police and the President. I account to Parliament and various other legislative oversight bodies, including Chapter 9 institutions.
Then you proceed in paragraph 44 and following to deal with your interactions with the minister and how they translate when implemented. If I can just ask you to commence from 44.
In sum, I, as the National Commissioner, must implement policy and strategic direction determined by the minister. But I am responsible for the operational and managerial control of the police service. This is due to the fact that the constitutional scheme in express terms removes the operational and managerial control of the police service from the hands of the political actors.
Before you go on, Section 207(2) of the Constitution does not use strategic before directions, and you are introducing strategic before directions in 44 for the first time. Is this as a result of an interpretative exercise? If not, just explain that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but I just want to get an idea where the strategic comes from.
The strategic direction, the national policing policy come from the minister, and the direction, my interpretation here was the direction include the strategic direction.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Chair. And then in paragraph 45, you had just dealt with the fact that, according to your understanding, the constitutional scheme in express terms removes the operational and managerial control of the police service from the political actors, from the hands of the political actors.
That is correct, Commissioner.
And then you proceed from paragraph 46 and following, if I can ask you to deal with those.
As the National Commissioner, that's accountable to Parliament, but also insulated from undue political influence. The constitutional scheme is axiomatically deeply rooted in and foster the doctrine of separation of powers. I say more herein later below. I have the autonomy to exercise of my discretion in relation to the control and management of the police service, of course, within the prescripts of the governing legislation. I understand my function to be independent from political interference other than receiving directions from the Minister of Police.
Okay,
I deem it
and then
important.
then if I can just stop you there, after dealing with those preceding paragraphs that outlines the scheme and the interaction between yourself and the minister, you then deal with or provide the senior command structure within SAPS. And you say part of that is going to be relevant to the issues that the Commission is looking into. So if I can just ask you then from paragraph 51 to deal with the personnel that reports to you as outlined commencing from 51.1.
If we go to the command structure of the police, is right at the top. You have deputy national commissioners. It's not in any They are not put in any way of seniority whatsoever, but you have a Deputy National Commissioner for Policing, in this case, Lieutenant General Msikidi. Then you have Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, that is Lieutenant General Sibia. You have Deputy National Commissioner for Corporate Services, that is Lieutenant General Dimpane or Nkua acting. And you have the 9 provincial commissioners, which include Lieutenant General Mkonazi, who is the provincial commissioner of KZN. There is a depiction of the structure on paragraph 51.4. You could see the 3 deputies below reporting directly to the national commissioner. On the one side, you have the provincial commissioners. On the other side, you have the national head of DPCI. In our terms, I must just explain that with regard to DPCI, it's not directly reporting to me. I've got a dotted line reporting to me. It reports to the Minister of Police, and with me, I provide certain support that is your budget. That's one of the recommendations I'm sure I'll be doing at this commission, that you cannot have half a bread. We either have a loaf of bread or have no bread.
And perhaps if I can just deal with that point that you are making, and you don't necessarily need to go there. Towards the conclusion of your statement, you say that there are certain recommendations which you wish to make for the Commission's consideration, and you say you will file a supplementary statement at a later stage where you deal with those. And I assume this issue that you are talking about now, when you say part of the recommendations in the form of submissions that you intend to make, being the DPCI's reporting partly to yourself and to the minister, is one of the issues that you're going to address in that supplementary statement that you're going to file.
That is correct, Commissioner.
Earlier on, in your statement, you said in paragraph 48, you will say more about the issue that you were dealing with vis-a-vis your role with the minister. And you said you'll say more below. You continue from paragraph 52 with that topic. In essence, you say in 52, the point that you've already made, that the arrangement, as you understand it, flowing from section 2072, is that the minister is responsible for providing strategic direction, and you, as the National Commissioner, are then tasked with the implementation thereof. And in 53, you refer to day-to-day operational and managerial performance and execution of the police service, which rests, according to you, squarely in the hands of the National Commissioner. And you cited an example that you referred the chair to earlier, that a minister may direct that the combating of cash-in-transit robberies should be a priority, and that development of plans, the issuing of instructions, allocation of resources, and implementation thereof remains the responsibility of the National Commissioner. Am I correct? That's what you were conveying earlier in the discussion with the chair and in response to those questions.
That is correct, Commissioner.
And I think the one point that you sought to make with regard to the implementation of a direction from the minister, let's use that example of a cash in transit, which is the one you used earlier. Can the minister prescribe to you as to when you should deploy the resources to achieve the policy direction that he has provided? Can he tell you when you must deploy the resources, how you should deploy them, and how many?
No, the how part he will not describe, because that depends on it will depend on me and on what we find on the ground as we do our plans. And
Equally, can the minister say to you or direct that you should disband the implementation program that you have put in place? Using this example of the cash in transit robberies, can he give you direction to disband and to disband it immediately?
No, actually not. He cannot say disband such a low-level team. That team is not working at strategic level. It's very low level down on the ground. And you can also deal with the how part as to you must do it now. That is within the purview of the National Commissioner and Provincial Commissioner.
And I think earlier on you touched on the fact that if there were to be any considerations, perhaps, or issues that the National Commissioner, the Minister is inclined that the National Commissioner should consider, you would expect a discussion, I think you said earlier, to the Chair.
Yeah, surely there will be engagement so that one understand why would he come to a specific conclusion. If we want to disband a team of cash in transit, I would have to understand as the National Commissioner as to what are the reasons why you get to such level.
Mr. Matau, before you move on, if I may, you are discussing a disbandment stage. I just want to clarify. Do you consider it would you consider it as an encroachment on your powers, operational authority, if the minister said to you, you should constitute a task team to look at cash in transit issues or to deal with that? So is that an encroachment according to you?
No, to say establish, do something about cash in transit, that is not encroachment. I will, as the National Commissioner and the relevant officials, establish such a plan and fight that specific crime. So it doesn't tell me how many people I must use, how, the when. He says, cash in transit is a problem, attend to it. Either you do a task team or you do whatever, but attend to it.
Yes. Sorry, please carry on.
Yes, that the cash in transit is a problem. As a National Commissioner, I'll attend to it. But to say to me, go and take so and so from province X, so and so from province X, and do this, that will be encroachment because that's the how part. But defining the problem is strategic for him. I don't have a problem.
Yes.
But to get to the who, how, what, when, that I regard it as encroachment.
Yes.
Even to say disband, I regard it as encroachment.
Yes, I'm not at disband. I'm not at the disband discussion.
Okay.
I'm at the constitute a task team. So my question is more specific than do something about cash in transit. It is, can the minister, is it within the remit of the minister to say to you, constitute a task team to deal with cash in transit issues? So it's as specific as instructing that.
No, that is not, that's encroachment. It's not within him to say, constitute a task team. Myself and the Provincial Commissioner will decide how. Maybe we're going to use not a task team, but use just a police station, for example. Maybe the problem is located at a police station. So yes, that will be encroachment.
Thank you.
Advocate Mutau, before you continue, General, can I take you back to paragraph 43, same section of your evidence?
Are you there? Paragraph 43
there.
talks about the key responsibilities of your office as National Commissioner of Police. Where does one find those? In which instrument? Is it in the Police Act or the National Policing Policy that you talked about? Where does one find those specific responsibilities that you've highlighted from sub 1 to sub 9?
You find them in some come from the Constitution and also in the Police Act. And also in our strategic plan, you do find them. Yeah, in our sub-strategic plan.
And
The Constitution, Police Act, and our strategic plan.
And perhaps, Commissioner Kumalo, we will also try and deal with that with the prescripts witness that we will lead, so that we were able to assist the Commission in terms of the legislative layout. Thank you. Then, if we can just conclude that section, because I think the essence you have put across, if I can just ask you to just deal with paragraph 55, which pulls it all together, where you say, in summation, you deal with strategy versus operations, political versus managerial control, and direction versus implementation. If I can just ask you to conclude by dealing with those three subs.
Yeah, in paragraph 55, 55.1, in summation, I said strategy versus operations. The minister gives strategic direction, while the National Commissioner manages the operational and administrative execution of the direction. Political versus managerial control. The minister holds political control and accountability, whereas the National Commissioner has managerial and operational control. Direction versus implementation. The minister gives direction and the National Commissioner is responsible for implementing the direction. That is where the how and so on comes in.
Okay. Thank you. Then, General, if I can just ask that we deal with the next topic in your statement, which is the establishment of the political killings task team. You deal with it commencing from paragraph 56. If I can just ask you to start there.
Thanks, Commissioner. On the establishment of the political killings task team,
Yes.
KwaZulu-Natal has historically experienced significant level of violence driven by political factors. In response to the increased incidents of political violence and fatalities in the KZN up to the 2018, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Ramaphosa, tasked his security cluster to mobilize resources. He appointed the IMC, which is the Interministerial Committee, comprising of the Ministers of State Security, Ministers of Defense and Military Veterans, Minister of Police, Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, under the leadership of Minister of Police and Minister of Defense, Minister Begikele, which was mandated to ensure that those responsible for political incidents are held to account. Its purpose was to coordinate national and provincial efforts, including intelligence and prosecutorial support against politically motivated violence. The team was established by directors general of the respective departments that I have just named the ministers thereof, as stated above, to implement the directions of those ministers. The team was not created through legislation or gazetted through a regulation. It was essentially an ad hoc interdisciplinary unit within the SAPS and the National Prosecuting Authority, tasked with investigating political killings with the operational focus in KwaZulu-Natal, but of course later did extend nationally to other provinces. The IMC directed the establishment of the multidisciplinary task team, including members from key law enforcement and the prosecution authority, to create an investigative and prosecutorial strategy for politically related cases in the province. The political killings task team was overseen by a national steering committee, the IMC, and of course they report to the president.
And before you continue, I have noticed that you describe National Steering Committee later, at paragraph 73 to be exact. But can you please describe it here? What exactly was the National Steering Committee?
The question of the commissioner is?
What exactly was the National Steering Committee? I'm saying that I am aware that you do describe it later at paragraph 73, but I want you to describe it where you mention it for the first time, which, if I'm not mistaken, is here.
Yes. The National Steering Committee consisted of the senior officials at DDG and DG level, let's say lieutenant generals and also above. This steering committee was chaired by the national head of the DPCI, then was General Libya, consisted of the departments of the National Prosecuting Authority, the national director, and his or her officials were part of that, the correctional services, the SSA, the police formations, that is the deputies of detectives, deputy of policing, the project leader of the political killings task team was giving reports to the steering committee. So that steering committee was the one that will listen to the reports of the political killings task team, and they report, this steering committee will report to the IMC.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Matawa, before you proceed, General, what does it mean that the National Steering Committee, the IMC, and the President oversaw the PKTT? What is to oversee in this case? And I'm asking, maybe I'm explaining my question. I want to understand what powers, if any, did the NSC, the IMC, and the President have over the activities and operations of the PKTT?
Yeah, the use of the word oversee might have English encroachment, but all one word is saying is that the National Steering Committee, they deal with the operations of the political killings task team. They untangle problems and give direction. And they report to the IMC. The IMC will listen. If IMC feels that there are areas that needs their intervention, for example, in this case, there was a need for a special court, then the minister responsible, which is justice, then will take that up upon himself or herself with the director general to go and sort out that specific matter. But they were not, the IMC and the president were not involved in what the political task team is doing. The political task team was directed by the provincial commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal and the project leader.
Thank you, Commissioner Abdullahi. Yes, please proceed. You were about to commence with the second sentence of paragraph 60, where you talk about the PKTT at its inception and who it was led by. and who its operational coordinator was.
Yeah, the political killings task team at its inception in 2018 was initially led by a Major General Ramatsweli, and Lieutenant General Kumalo was the operational coordinator. When
Sorry, and can we just stop here? When we say Lieutenant General Kumalo, we are not talking about Commissioner Kumalo, who's currently sitting as one of the co-commissioners. Am I correct?
Yeah, no, I'm not referring to the co-commissioner Kumalo who's here. This one is a Lieutenant General Kumalo, head of crime intelligence, but he was brigadier by then. Yeah, you will encounter a lot of Kumalos in this, but it has nothing to do with the work of what they're doing. And those that I know, they do a good job. I don't know the co-commissioner.
And National Commissioner, if I understand, then you're saying because of the many Kumalos that we are encountering here, Commissioner Kumalo is not a deployee of the PKTT.
No, he's not. He's not. He's just coincidence. Thank you.
No, thanks. To come back on a serious note, you've then informed the Commission about the leadership structure of the PKTT at the time when it was introduced in 2018. And in in the next paragraph, you say you were the deputy.
Sorry, Mr. Mdau, sorry, before you go to your next paragraph.
Yes,
we do encounter quite a number of Kumalos in the documents. It might be helpful, say, in this case where you say Lieutenant General Kumalo, give us a first name. Because I see there's as you would have noticed, there's quite a number of them.
Okay, this one we're referring to here is a Dumisani
There's
Kumalo.
even, I think, a Major General Kumalo, or am I mistaken? Later on, at some point, there's reference to a Major General Kumalo as well. Or am I wrong?
Yes, there is a Major General Kumalo, is another one.
You should please do the same when you get to that Major General. Do what my co-commissioner, Commissioner Baloyi, has just said. Mention the first name of that Major General Kumalo. Then there will be less confusion for us. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Mutao.
No, thank you. Chair and co-commissioners. And National Commissioner, you understand that request where you know that there is more than one surname or one official with that surname. For ease of reference, the request is to mention the name so that it is clear which of the surnames.
Yeah, no, I will do so, but maybe during break I will try and get all the names. I might not know the other names.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Yes, paragraph 61, you indicating that at the time when the PKTT was established, you were a deputy national commissioner policing at the time, and you were responsible for the initial call-up of members to be part of the PKTT, which you say is evident from the attached call-up instruction, which is SFM2. If I can just ask you to then go to file 2. SFM2 commences from page 73.
Correct, Commission?
Yes. Yes, I think we're there now. The document commencing on page 73, you describe it as a call-up instruction. And you'll see its purpose is outlined in paragraph 1. To say the purpose of this information note is to request the approval of the strategy, its implementation plan, and funding for investigation and prosecution of political related cases in KwaZulu-Natal. Then the next paragraph is the background. if I can ask you to just focus on the second unnumbered paragraph there. The IMC met with the task team investigating these cases on 21 May 2018, and one of the preliminary observations was that this multidisciplinary task team was working in silos and it does not have an investigation and prosecutorial plan or strategy that is aligned to overall government priorities contained in the National Development Plan, NDP 2030, the Medium Strategic Framework, MTSF, and other key policy prescripts, i.e. creating safe and security environment. If I can just ask the... Yes, if I can just ask that you explain the statement that the team did not have an investigation and prosecutorial plan or strategy.
Yeah, what that refers, Commissioner, is that before the establishment of this team, there was a previous team. It was a provincial team that was investigating this very same political killings. So, as we were meeting with the IMC that time, we're evaluating the functioning of the previous team. And that's when we pick up that, yes, the team didn't have a prosecutorial strategy or investigative strategy. So they were not integrated. There was no prosecutor-guided investigation, and the team didn't have an investigation strategy. So those are the findings of the team that was there, that we were inheriting. Of course, I happen to be advantaged that I know also the establishment of that previous team. I was involved. It was more provincial team, and it made no successes at all. So those remarks are referring to that, which then we're saying, let's rework, let's come with a new strategy and way forward.
Okay, so in essence, and I mean, you deal with this later on in your statement, you say there was a task team that was investigating or had the very same mandate, as it were, to investigate the political killings in KwaZulu-Natal, which was provincially based, and it was later disbanded and substituted with this one.
Correct.
And the remarks that I directed you to relate to or refer to the previous task team.
Correct.
Okay. And I mean, you'll say more about it when you deal with that aspect.
Yeah, no, I'll say more when we
a little later. Then if I can ask you to turn to page 79 of that document. You will see monitoring and evaluation is dealt with in paragraph 6. Can I just ask you to, just in brief terms, deal with that aspect of monitoring and evaluation?
Yeah, with regard to monitoring and evaluation, within the task team, we said that there will be a tactical joint operations center. Commanders will meet on a daily basis, inspect dockets, direct operations, and the commanders will also, the tactical joint operational commanders and the mission area joint operational center will meet on a weekly basis. In other words, there was a method which the team is being monitored regularly from provincial level. That's where your match up is. The tactical jogs, there were about 4, divided into 4 where in the province where there was a problem by that time of political killings. So at that tactical level, they will meet daily. Province, they will meet weekly to monitor what is being done what assistance can be done, and review where necessary their strategies.
And if you look at the second last bullet on that page, it says the status report will be submitted to the Criminal Justice Prevention and Security, JCPS Director General's Cluster Chairperson bi-weekly for further handling with the IMC. Is that connected to the point that you are making in paragraph 60 of your statement regarding the PKTT being overseen by the bodies that you've outlined in that paragraph?
Yeah, it is in line, except to say that as that submission is done, it means it will go via the National Commissioner's Office, Steering Committee, and to the DG's cluster, and then only then to the Interministerial Committee.
And the recommendations are in paragraph 7. You don't need to deal with them. If I can ask you to then turn over the page at page 80. The signature on top there, whose signature is it? And what does it signify?
It is my signature. Above there is recommendation or not recommended. I forgot to tick recommended, but I do allude what should happen there to say the operation will be run operationally differently, unlike other operations. And I also say there is still something outstanding, which is the budget for vehicles. So that's my signatures.
And then if you turn over the page to page 81, the top signature on that page, whose signature is it? And equally, what does it signify?
The signature is the signature of the national head of Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, General Libya, and he recommended this specific call-up or plan.
So if you look at this document, I don't want to deal with all of them, but they mainly follow the same pattern.
They follow the same until the page 82, where the National Commissioner then approved the plan or the strategy.
Yes, I was just dealing with one so that we orientate the commissioners about the structure of these documents, who gets involved, and the signatures and what they signify. Then if I can ask you to...
Mr. Mdau, if I may just check something.
Yes, thank you.
In that page 79, General, under recommendations, the second bullet, it gives you a budget number or an estimated amount, and then it says to be managed at Provincial Office KwaZulu-Natal. Does this mean that this operation, the PKTT, then falls under the operational control of the Provincial Commissioner KZN? It is, and I ask the question mindful that it's a national project, as I understand.
Correct, Commissioner. It is a national project. In this specific instance, yes, we're saying that it will fall under the Provincial Commissioner KwaZulu-Natal. If I also take you to page 80, under the signature of General Masemola, hence you see I'm saying the cost center posting is different to other national operations, and is understood that this operation is driven, provincially driven. So to clarify what the Commissioner is asking, yes, it was driven at the province. But I must hasten to say it's not automatic that it will be like that. This was an operation that investigate political related killings. So we were very sensitive and selective as to who gets involved. Does not necessarily mean if we say provincial commissioner, it's not automatic that if this provincial commissioner goes currently, the next one comes, it will continue with that one. No, it was a sensitive, it was a case specific, because after this political killing task team was established, a lot of politicians had interest in what they are doing, and a lot of inquiries were being made. Hence, we had to narrow those people that are involved in this operation. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. Just at the time when you are dealing with SFM2, was the focus of the task team specifically looking at KZN, or had it looked at other provinces beyond KZN? We are now in 2018 at its inception. I'm following up from the question by Commissioner Baloyi.
Yeah, at its inception in 2019, the political killing task team was mainly looking at the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Okay. And we know that later on in the statement, you deal with the fact that its mandate was extended beyond that province to KZN and to focus on other issues as well. Correct?
Yeah, it's correct. Later, we'll clarify that they were involved in other provinces like Eastern Cape.
If I can then ask you to conclude in paragraph 62, that's where you allude to where the PKTT ended up operating mainly from. You deal with KZN and Eastern Cape. If I can just ask you to deal with paragraph 62.
Yeah, the operation of the political killings task team was mainly KwaZulu-Natal, and later we extended to the Eastern Cape province under Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo's supervision and oversight to focus on political related crimes, of course, in KwaZulu-Natal, and also in the killings in the Eastern Cape, the investigated cases at the Fort Hare, mainly murder cases and fraud.
And again, there you reiterate, as directed by the National Steering Committee, the IMC, and the President.
Correct. Thanks, Commissioner.
Then you next deal with the initial plan and the integrated plan. In paragraph 63, that's where you make the point that you had made earlier, that the PKTT was not the first task team that had been set up or established in KZN. If I can then ask you to deal with paragraph 63, which deals with the establishment and the disbandment of the initial task team, which was then substituted or replaced by the PKTT.
Thanks, Commissioners. The political killing task team was not the first task team to establish to deal with political killing in the province. There was a previous team established in 2017, but it was not particularly effective. It wasn't successful. A decision was taken to dissolve or disband it. During the process of that disbandment of that team, a new task team was established, which is now known as the Political Killings Task Team. The previous team was disbanded in consultation with the directors, generals, or commissioners of SAPS, NPA, SSA, and correctional services. During those meetings of May, June, that's when the new team was moving out, and this new team was established. Stakeholders informed that ministers of the respective departments were informed of the decision of the directors general of their intention to dissolve the old team. So I want to make it clear also that ministerial approval was not a requirement to establish a team. The decision to disband was taken after the briefing with the Directors General, the National Commissioner took that decision to disband. At that time, it was General Ketlas Tolle who was the National Commissioner, and ultimately he took that decision, and we established a new team, which is what we currently have. During that process of establishing the PKTT, it was evident that indeed a strong operational head at the time was needed, and Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, who was a brigadier then, was achieving considerable success as the commander of a project which was addressing rhino poaching in the province of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal and Northwest. As the commander of that rhino poaching task team, which was quite successful, Khumalo led efforts that coordinated police, intelligence, analytical resources to conduct operations targeting poachers. So we then, before that national team started decentralizing its mandate to those provinces that I've mentioned, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, KwaZulu-Natal, Northwest. In other words, the provinces established their own team and carry on with rhino poaching. So it was an opportune moment then that, because he was successful in that we then bring him to come and form the nucleus of establishing this new PKTT, using most of the strategies that he has been using in the rhino poaching. The formation of the PKTT represented a significant shift in how politically motivated crimes were approached, prioritizing collaboration across multiple agencies and emphasizing accountability. The cross-functional approach enabled the team to leverage expertise from various sectors. You'd recall I said the first previously team consisted of members from KwaZulu-Natal. Now this current PKTT consists of members from all provinces and national head office. So the PKTT's establishment was intended to address the complex nature of political violence, ensuring that interventions were coordinated, targeted, and responsive to evolving challenges in both KwaZulu-Natal and later in the Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape.
Yes. So the investigation of these cases are not just as simple like investigating an ordinary matter. There is a lot of efforts and skill that you require to investigate these cases, and it takes time to make a breakthrough on a single case.
And sorry, if I can just ask you to go back a bit. You speak in the second sentence of paragraph 66 about the cross-functional approach, which enabled the team to leverage expertise from various sectors, thereby enhancing both investigative capacity and prosecutorial effectiveness. If I can just ask you to explain that a bit, the leveraging of expertise from various sectors. What are you talking about?
The leveraging of expertise from various sectors.
Which expertise are you talking about?
I'm referring to the team consisted of general detectives from murder and robbery, members of the DPCI, and also members of the forensic services. You are from the forensic lab. And also the team then later as we had the National Prosecuting Authority as part of the steering committee, there was a need to have prosecutors that can work with the team. And the National Prosecuting Authority did dedicate prosecutors to work with this team in KwaZulu-Natal.
And I mean, later on you deal with, in your statement, the need for collaboration between the various sectors and the National Prosecuting Authority to ensure that the investigation and cases that are referred to court meet the prosecutorial standard that is expected.
Yeah,
So as one of the central methods in this new investigative method.
yeah, that is correct, Commissioner. That is correct, Commissioner.
Chair and members of the Commission, I'm about to move to the new to a new topic, and I'm not sure if it's a convenient time for
Yes,
a tea agenda.
let's.
Advocate Mtau, I know you're leaving this section. I just want to go back to 63 quickly. General, the last sentence in paragraph 63, and I assume your answer will take us to tea time. Why was it necessary when the previous task team was disbanded to consult with SAPS, NPA, SSA, and DCS? Why was that necessary that the consultation take place?
Well, when we were there, because we were in Durban as those departments, we could not take a unilateral decision. Remember, the IMC consisted of ministers of those departments, and the heads of those departments were also they were also in KwaZulu-Natal. So the National Commissioner could not just decide to dissolve the old team and come up with a new one without taking his counterparts on board. Because, as you remember, one of the criticism on the team was that it had no investigative strategy, it was working in silos, it didn't have assistance or collaboration of the NPA. So now that we are moving forward with a new team, it was necessary then for the National Commissioner to bring his counterparts on board, which actually they did the analysis together to say we are now moving forward. So it was necessary that he informed them. They just don't left outside.
Let us adjourn and resume at 11:15.